actually came from, for those of you who watched my channel, a few years ago, I did a video game Let's Play for Mega Race. And the host, Lance Boyle, who I definitely always loved to impersonate, I don't know why, whenever he would give away, prizes at certain points, the way he would say things, and I know it was a watch, because there was a watch that you would win, instead of saying, oh, he goes, oh, watch. So, of course, this one, since the episode title is the, I always impersonate him and go, the watch. So that's where that came from. But we are wrapping up the crazy beginning to one of the best seasons before, of course, of Seinfeld, season 4. But of course, the first 6 episodes were split up into 3 2-part episodes. So I definitely took a lot of time watching these pivotal episodes a few times, and the inside looks and everything, is there was just a lot of information to take in. So I want to make sure I got the information right, strong, accurate, wanted to make sure it flowed pretty good. So the watch leaves off with what happened back in the wallet. We go back to the restaurant where Jerry, his parents, and Uncle Leo are having dinner. They are, after arguing about the back specialist, where Morty lost his wallet, and it's also was a favor done with Uncle Leo, even though again the doctor ended up just being the father of one of Uncle Leo's neighbors. Now they're focused on Uncle Leo's watch, because it was exactly like the watch that Jerry had just gotten from his parents that Jerry had thrown out, but he lied to them and said that it had it was taken to a jeweler, James Sherman, whatever his name, Jimmy Sherman, and it was getting fixed. But of course, Uncle Leo's plan completely blew it up, because when he took the watch to find the garbage, it only took it a day for it to get fixed. Now it keeps time perfectly. So Jerry needs to find some sort of plan to get that watch back without his parents knowing. While he's still dealing with the wrath of his parents, because first off, his dad won't let him pay, despite the fact that his dad lost his wallet. His mom is getting on Jerry to ask out the one waitress, which he says she's beautiful, she's pretty, but he's not like that interested. So in the midst of all this arguing, Uncle Leo goes to the bathroom. Jerry would follow him to the bathroom, and he would go in and he would negotiate with Uncle Leo about the watch. He offered him $100. Well, he offered him $200. Uncle Leo goes, it's not about the money, I give you the watch, but he actually likes it. Jerry says, though, I'm bargaining here and I'm going, pretty, doubling already. Because he says that's a $60 watch and it costs $40 for the repairs. So then, back and forth negotiating, finally, Jerry makes him an offer of $350. Give him another $100 for the watch and $50 for the repairs, which Uncle Leo accepts. But as that's going on, Morty Seinfeld walked in on them, bargaining. Moments before, Morty's also out in the restaurant, trying to bargain with the owner to let him send him a check from Florida because he doesn't have his wallet, because he doesn't want to make Jerry pay for him. But he doesn't want when Jerry to pay for him and then him try to give him the money back when Jerry would probably refuse the money anyways. So just a very complex situation. And then, of course, the restaurant portion ends with Jerry talking to that waitress and getting her phone number. But then Jerry, it seems a little more interested than before, but then he starts to question it because of her really horrible laugh. Which we go more in depth on that, actually, in the next episode, which is a classic. Can't wait to talk about that one, of course. But that's everything that basically happened at the restaurant. Meanwhile, another story going on from the wallet that I was continuing to watch. And I forgot to mention a key detail. was Elaine trying to get rid of Dr. Reston. Well, as far as at least break up with him. But the problem is, of course, he's her psychiatrist, and he basically just like manipulates her, and she feels like she can't escape from him because he feels like she doesn't have a good reason to break up. So she tells him she's seeing someone else, and I forgot to mention that this in the wallet, but when he asks for a name, because he has to ask for very firm details on this guy, she says Kramer. So Dr. Reston wants Kramer to give him a call. So Elaine goes over to Kramer to talk with him and tell him what's going on. She told him what's going on. That basically she's using him as a cover-up as her boyfriend to try to get out of this relationship with her psychiatrist. But of course Kramer starts asking these very, personal and detailed questions to, say he's going to be asking this. So once they discuss skill set, Kramer calls Dr. Reston. And at first Kramer's like coming out on top, nailing this guy. Until he talks Kramer into actually to go see him in person. Which Elaine says that is not a good idea, but he has to do it. Kramer then heads to, goes to meet with the psychiatrist, and Elaine just waits outside. They seem to have a good back and forth conversation, but it ends with two problems. First off, it seems like that Kramer, more sort of thinks that, he's good for Elaine. And then, while that's going on, Elaine's outside, and she meets a now on his medication Crazy Joe Davola, but she doesn't realize exactly who Crazy Joe Davola is, and doesn't until a couple of episodes later, which we'll talk about, of course. But she does not realize who he actually is. She knows of who he really is, but she doesn't realize that it's him. But they hit it off outside of the building, and they really hit it off. And then they exchange numbers. And of course he goes in and he tells Dr. Reston, I'm in love. I just met the most beautiful woman out on the street before. Her name is Elaine. And Dr. Reston's like, did you say Elaine? Which of course after that I don't think we ever heard from Dr. Reston again. So I guess that was what led to the breakup. I don't know. But it just obviously that was the last thing we had heard of Dr. Reston. So Elaine's plan kind of backfired. Also, of course, Kramer was, afraid of, Davola. Well, they all are, especially Kramer, for taking that nasty kick to the head from him back in the pitch. But of course, it's been told that he's after Jerry, and Jerry's terrified, for sure. And then, of course, the other story was George, who declined the deal of $13,000 for the pilot. And then basically Susan's going to talk to Russell, but like Jerry said, they do how many TV deals, which I said 50, but in this episode Dalbert said to do or try to have 500 different clients trying to get NBC pilots, and because of course they didn't want to go with the deal, Dalrymple says the hell with them and pounds his fist down, according to Susan. And exactly what, Jerry said. Why would we want to give more money to the two guys who have no experience, not really an idea at all whatsoever? Why would they want to give them more money? So they're moving on to other people. And of course, George is freaking out and saying and then of course now he's trying to put all the blame on Jerry now, saying he was quoting Jerry and whatnot. And then he tells Susan, I need to get in touch with him. And then Susan's like, well, you can call him on Monday. And then George's like, no, I can't wait that long. He wants to know where he lives. So he basically fights over Susan's address book, which he gets Dalrymple's address and goes to the apartment complex where he lives. The doorman, at first was called Dalrymple, and he said, tell him to call me on Monday. But then George takes the phone and just begs Dalrymple for 5 minutes of his time. He allows him. He goes upstairs. Dalrymple's in the middle of a date, and his date Cynthia was not really seen like a very friendly person. She was just came across as cold, and she didn't care for guests, and she was not happy that her dinner was being interrupted. Of course, George, was talking like was not even focused. Kept talking about other things besides, the show. He was trying to kiss up and like show see if he's a good person, like showing his date, Dalrymple's date, the TV guide and whatnot and all that stuff. But obviously, it was obviously, this one was not cracking a smile. And Dalrymple said, there's nothing we can do about the show at this point. He made a deal with another writer, which of course, George realizing, Jerry was right. Says he'll do it for the 13,000. Dalrymple's like, no, and it's not happening because they made a deal with another writer. It's over. So then George then goes down to 10,000. Still got a no. Finally goes down to 8,000, and then he was just like, you got a deal. But of course, before he left, he asked if he can use the bathroom. So all that chaos happens with those three stories. And then, of course, we go back to Jerry's apartment towards the end of the episode, where Jerry's parents are getting ready to fly back down to Florida. And, of course, Jerry apologizes again about the watch, but, I think they want to see the bill. But once again, Morty had no money. George shows up, and then this is actually the first scene where George meets Jerry's parents. And, of course, Mrs. Seinfeld again just like gets on George for him passing on the deal, but then George says, we do have a deal. As I talked to Dalrymple, and so they're happy about it. So Jerry's like, how much money we got, and then George goes 8,000. Jerry thinks at first that they're getting 8,000 a piece, which would mean that he got a little bit more. He got their deal from 13,000 to 16,000. Until George mentions that it's 8,000 in total, so 4,000 a piece. So Jerry, of course, basically just rubs it back in George's face is that he was right, and George's like, yep, I'm an idiot, you're right. Which, unfortunately, even Jason Alexander was, doubtful, of course, of, stuff about the show and of this season, which, it worked out in the end. But, of course, George, just, unfortunately, they lucked out, and then they're getting, like, what, 5,000 less dollars than they would have. Basically $2,500 less a piece than they would have if they would have taken the deal for the 13,000. Before they leave, though, Jerry gives his father a present, which is a new wallet. What he doesn't know is that there's about $200 in that wallet. So they take him downstairs. They go to say bye. When Jerry and George walk away, Morty says, I'm not keeping this. He goes, it's Velcro, and he goes back to how he doesn't like Velcro from when he ranted about it in the wallet. The previous episode when the doctor went to open up the blood pressure thing, and of course I also forgot to mention too. But that episode with that scene, he also ranted about how he didn't put Velcro on raincoats, and then of course when he was talking to the owner of the restaurant who wasn't going to let him send him a check for the meal. He then mentions again about his precious raincoat. So he talks about raincoats several times. We actually see we're supposed to be introduced to those raincoats though in season 5 in a 2-part episode called The Raincoats. But anyway, so Morty, just like Jerry in the watch, throws the wallet that Jerry got him away in the garbage. Uncle Leo, who's picking him up to take to the airport, walks past the garbage can, sees the wallet, and just like the watch, he takes it. Now, we do see Morty's real wallet again at the end of the season. But, of course, I will get to that when we get to that. And that's the watch. The watch. And the end to a very exciting and very important season 4 for Seinfeld. Again, it definitely took me, some time to definitely, watch these episodes carefully to make sure I got the details out really well. Like I said, I didn't want to, miss anything, especially for the pitch. That episode I still think is very important. On the next disc, though, I know we have a couple really, some more big episodes. Like, I know we're going to be seeing, I think it's the next few episodes, I think we're going to be the Bubble Boy, the Cheever letters, Cherish the Cabin. I know the opera's there. one or two others, but of course, the Emmy Award winning The Contest. That one is also on the next disc. And I do look forward to definitely talking about those episodes. But guys, that's my thoughts on The Watch. What are your thoughts on The Watch? What are your thoughts so far on season 4? Like I said, it's the breakthrough season. It's a very pivotal time, as this is where the popularity of Seinfeld skyrocketed for sure, big time. So what are your thoughts on this episode, guys? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to come on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBoy93. Till then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll see you guys next time where we review The Bubble Boy. Till then, guys, have a great rest of your night. And remember, it's Morps, not Moops. A little preview for next time as well. I'll shut up. Have a good night. Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a good night. Peace out, everybody.